what is happening. So from the palace in echoes of war, now let's shift gears and go to politics, where there are echoes that are continuing there. Now, after Butere Girls' play stirred the national conscience with their fictional kingdom ambayo ilikuwa acted, real-life power struggles are unfolding in Kenya's political space. We've had accusations and counter-accusations between the president, his former deputy president, and his former AG and former CS for public service. I wonder, Kenyans are wondering, so what exactly is going on at the top, and who is telling the truth? I think we need to listen to something about 10 billion shillings from the president and 2 billion shillings from Rigathi Gachagua, and then we continue the discussion.
Sasa ikanifikia mimi. Mimi sasa. Unajua, mimi naweza kukufanya one-term president. Usipofanya hii, nahitaji bilioni 10. Wewe unajua bilioni 10, Bwana Waweru?
Labda zilikuwa za nini rais?
Bilioni 10 ndio niende niongee na watu ya Mlimani, you know, ni kupangie siasa, sijui nifanye nini. Mimi nikaona hapa nikamwambia I will not do it. Wacha nimalize. So nikamwambia hii haiwezekani. Na kama ni kuwa one term ni sawa. Hakuna problem.
He sent a very senior officer in government. When he called me myself when we disagreed and said, I cannot work with you. I would like you to resign. And if you don't, I'll impeach you. And he said, instead of you going home empty-handed, and since you assisted me, I would like you to go with your retirement package, and I can get you some money to get you started off, like 1.5, 2 billion. I told him to go to hell. I'm not interested. I'm priceless. And that kind of money, you know, I have.
I think from that exchange, it is clear that money exchanged hands somewhere. It's just the amount na watu hawajasikizana ni ipi. What's going on, Bonyo? I mean, is it a case of sole loser in terms of Rigathi Gachagua and Justin Muturi, or are they really whistleblowers who are exposing real rot?
This is tough, Jamila. Like some had initially said, it's an interesting play. And the first thing that comes to mind is how fast the empty coffers that were found were refilled, and now people are negotiating in billion terms. The constant here is a billion.
Yep.
The variance is how much? Because somebody said 2 billion, another 10 billion, then we've also had a 6.4 billion.
Yes.
This makes you wonder how expensive it is to be a Kenyan politician, that all this bad behavior can be rewarded in terms of billions. That an impeachment process happens that we are told is legitimately undertaken, but then at the back room, there are all these negotiations, all these dealing that at the expense of the Kenyan people. So for me, it is not sour grapes. It is all about adults who have been caught pants down and now are embarrassed, and everybody wants to expose the other as the bigger or the worst thief or criminal that has ever been. So that we see who has got the largest shame of this. Because it's troubling that Gachagua says they met somewhere with the president to negotiate his exit. That somebody was the intermediary between the two of them, brought them together to negotiate the exit package. I mean, it is so low, especially for the seat of the presidency of this nation, that we are now being treated to these X-files that makes you wonder whether indeed we have an executive that can truly run this country objectively. Because you listen to what Gachagua say, you listen to what the president say, and you clearly see two adults who are lying to us.
Yeah.
They are lying.
Yeah.
But the most troubling thing is these are people that were trusted with the leadership of this nation. that right now there's a young person somewhere that has hopes in this country, but then again you expose them to such kind of things. It's troubling, and I think in other nations, I think probably we could have been heading to a snap election.
Yeah. And you talk about them being elected on a platform of change. I remember, you know, bottom up, Mama Mboga, Mtu wa Boda Boda, and the wheelbarrow, and you know, William Hemko.
Heavy Christianity undertones.
Exactly. Yeah, we had all those sessions in church, I remember.
It's disturbing.
And then now, 2.5 years later, we reach a point where there are all these accusations and counter-accusations. Before Gituku, you come in, the Deputy President made some really, really serious accusations. In fact, not just locally, foreign pia. Kuna mataifa kadhaa alitaja. Let's hear what he said about the President in regards to Sudan.
For the deaths occurring in the Sudan, the real commander of RSF is not Hemeti, it's William Ruto, because for a movement to succeed, it needs money. The money from gold is being cleaned through Kenya to buy arms, to go and kill women and children.
Kutoka Sudan, we went to Russia, and fertilizer that was supposed to have been free but was sold to farmers.
The Russian government gave us 40,000 metric tons of fertilizer.
The donation.
Donation. It was given to this man called Maisha Minerals by the president. And another 30,000 metric tons from Algeria given to the same man. They blended and sold it to government. A donation from Russia, a donation from Algeria was processed and sold to the Kenya government at the same price that we were buying fertilizer from. They pocketed billions of shillings.
You know, these are very serious accusations, Linus, Bonyo, and Gituku. And there are those who may ask and say, well, if you knew this was happening ukiwa serikalini, why did you wait kutoka nje and expose whatever rot you're saying was happening in there? And, you know, they've been termed as almost bitter men, him and Justin Muturi, that they're trying to rewrite history, that wamekasirika kwa sababu wametolewa katika serikali. That's why they're saying all these things. But, I mean, these are really serious accusations.
You know, it is good to open up and speak. Fungua roho. Because it's important. Ikutoke. I was trying to look for a word of saying that. So wacha niongee nitoke. So it is important to really speak, to also explain. There's a sense of accountability of what exactly transpired. Because there has been all manner of accusations, allegations about the relationship within government. And now it's getting more voices. Like you're saying, today we are talking about allegations between the president, or rather among the president, former DP Gachagua, and former Attorney General J.B. Muturi. But at the same time, it's very disheartening that actually people entrusted with the leadership of a country would actually be sitting in a room to discuss of how to share billions of shillings to settle scores or to satisfy certain personalities. Exactly, whose money is this, Jamila? Because how do you sit to share a cake that is not yours? I mean, it's taxpayers' money at a time that the country is struggling with the heavy weight of public debt, that you're spending 1 trillion shillings to pay interest. At the same time, we are struggling to even develop our country. We are struggling to pay salaries. Sometimes we are late to pay salaries for public servants. Today, we are late to send resources to counties. Yeah. How can we be doing that? But at the same time, there's a conversation going on somewhere to sort out someone who needs between 2 billion and 10 billion shillings. Like, honestly, how do you sleep after taking such a conversation? How do you sleep after taking oath of office not long ago to defend the Constitution, to protect it, and to advance the ideals that are required of good governance and Article 10 of the Constitution? So for me, I think listening to all the leaders that have been speaking to us, I'm just wondering, are we listening? Are we taking note of what is happening? And what are we going to do about it? Earlier in the week, I was having a discussion here with members of parliament from different sides of the political divide. And some of them are saying that these allegations are so serious, they require investigation by parliament. Because you remember that now DP Gachagua is out, Attorney General and former Attorney General and CS J.B. Muturi is out, but the president is in office. if what JB Muturi is saying and what Rigathi Gachagua is saying has an element of truth, I've seen some people saying that they should record statements with the DCI or go to, I don't know what office to report that, but the DCI won't do nothing against a president. Yeah. This is an issue that if we are serious as a country that respects the institutions in the Constitution, it belongs to Parliament to investigate, because JB Muturi, even if he wants, he cannot pursue that, because you cannot present a petition to investigate a president or to remove a president. That can only come from a member of Parliament, because the provisions on the impeachment, it is only a member of Parliament who can present a motion, and there are procedures on how it has to be backed by starting out a third, and for it to be approved, you require 2/3 of the National Assembly. So I don't know what Parliament is going to do, but this is not something that Kenyans should actually ignore. It needs to be processed. And if indeed there's an element of truth to it, either we pursue the process through Parliament or Kenyans take note, because they'll have a moment to make a decision in not so long.
And I think it's more of taking note than doing anything, because this is a concerted game. I think it's now becoming clear what people in government are doing, because we can't keep taking these whistleblowers' remarks with a pinch of salt, because they are insiders. One is a former deputy president, and the other one is a former attorney general. I just wanted to listen to Muturi, the former attorney general. He was at it again, talking about corruption.
See, I don't think whether there's anything that can be done to redeem William Ruto. I think he has such affinity to corruption that it is very difficult to. He doesn't understand it. In fact, when he talks about the word corruption, I think it's just a byword. You know, for him, he never means it. I don't think whether he understands what it means, because if you go, you just have to go to State House and see the people who come there and who meet him. You know, State House has become a scene of crime, because all that happens there is deals, corruption deals.
I think Kenyans will benefit a lot from this road to Damascus moments, and they are becoming many. We have Gachagua, we have Muturi, both who have walked the journey with President William Ruto, working very energetically for his election just a short 2.5 years ago. And now they're saying this is what is going on. State House is a crime scene. And are Kenyans to dismiss all these things, especially if they're becoming so persistent? You read, you wake up to very disturbing headlines every day of one thing or the other that is linked to State House. It could be land, some deal. Are this all part of the echoes of fiction? I don't think so. And I think, Sam, you're right. I mean, in this situation, this is the best case scenario for Kenya, because you are in a situation where the political structure is collapsed into one. You don't have an opposition that can actually check. You are referring to Parliament, and I was just smiling like, which Parliament?
This one.
This one. This is a concerted game. This looks like what everyone in government is currently doing. You do it in big ways, small ways, whether you are in a small, you know, this is starting to look like a way of life. I think by the time a proper audit is done, the pile of skeletons in this country, when it comes to how much has been done, may just be shocking. And where is the dissatisfaction from the youth coming from? It's because they can see these things. They can see what politicians are doing, what government is doing. And this whistleblowing by former insiders is only making things worse, because a lot of Kenyans would find no way and no reason to dismiss what they are hearing from Muturi, what they are hearing from Gachagua. And who knows who next comes out and says a few things. And it always takes what do I call them? Accomplices first, and then you are unhappy, then you spill the beans. So I think it's a good trend, considering we don't have formal structures. You see, the other day, the Auditor General tried to tell us things formally, and she was fought.
Oh, yes.
Really? Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what is available.
Yeah.
And these people are describing people they've worked with. And do we have reason to mistrust what they are saying?
I think, Linus, that question can be answered by the reactions to what they've said. I think we need to listen to what CS Murkomen said after the revelations by Justin Muturi.
He has kept government documents, and he has kept them in email. In another country, he could have been arrested, because the principle of how to handle government documents is known. In US, for example, if those documents are in your email, that's a serious national security.
And then there was some withdrawal of security swiftly. So, Sasa, we are asking what they said, ilikuwa ni ukweli or not? One, you've heard that, should be arrested, alienda na emails. And then the withdrawal of security.
The reaction from government has been the immediate withdrawal of my security, which happened last evening. My security personnel were instructed not to report on duty on the basis that, as they told me, that I'm fighting the government. But I said it's okay. There are very many Kenyans without, government security. With the draw of security, if it was meant to intimidate me, I'm sorry, I cannot be intimidated by such an act. Yet another wrong number dialed, because, we know it. The courts have already expressed themselves on this issue of, benefits to retired state officers in the past.
Gentlemen, this is a script we've seen before. Unafanya kakitu, security withdrawn. What is new is hiyo sasa ya kutaka kushikwa kwa sababu wako na secrets ambazo hazifai kuwa nayo. Gituku.
It's fascinating that CS Murkomen is talking about in another country, he could have been arrested. Surely, we're in Kenya and there are laws in Kenya. If the desire is to copy other countries and arrest him, maybe that should happen. But at the same time, on what grounds? Because, yes, I appreciate there's oath of secrecy that you should not divulge details that come to your attention because of the work that you're doing as a cabinet secretary, and unless it is in the due execution of your duty, that is the oath of office that they take. But if the allegations are about corruption, about dealings within government, about the improper conduct or misconduct by state officials, do you also subject that to secrecy? Should they be secret, or do you become an accomplice for doing exactly that? But for me, I also take note that I do not see a lot of condemnation in the substance of the allegations themselves. I do not see a lot of denials of what those allegations are. It is about, you're doing the wrong thing. How can you keep government documents? How would you be having government documents on your email or in your possession? Surely that should be the list of concerns about Kenya, by Kenyans. The question is about the substance of what these allegations are, because these are serious ones. Yeah. These are sufficient grounds to remove someone from office. In fact, if you remember the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, some of the allegations were impropriety in how he was spending resources, including renovation of the deputy president's residence. Well, some of them were never confirmed, but there were some of the grounds that were adduced by the petitioners, or rather the person that was moving the impeachment, Mwangi Mutuse. Now, there's something else that JB Muturi said about Arol and Kim Warel deals, this has been a thorn to the Republic of Kenya over the last couple of years. And there's an issue that, if you recall, even in 2019, when the DPP then, today the Director General of NIS, Nuruddin Haji, was very convinced that there was a prima facie case to charge, and that's why he took that matter to court. But eventually, of course, we know it ended up with acquittal. But in between, there are several withdrawals against persons that have been taken to court. If you look at those two dams, the ultimate decision that was taken by President Uhuru Kenyatta was that Kimorel Dam project was cancelled because it was said to be non-feasible and, of course, technically was not viable. And part of the reasons that were given is that you'd have to pump water into the dam. So obviously you're not going to construct that. But when the new president came, that is William Ruto, he said that the decisions are made because of politics. And he promised the country that we are now ironed out all the issues. And I just want to reference what he said at the time after a visit of the Italian president at the time. We have agreed that financing already made available will be restructured. We plan to clear court issues in 1 month, then have conversation about restructuring on financing and go on with this. This was very early into his term. I think it must have been late 2022 or very early 2023. I think it was actually late 2022. Since that time, to date, more than 2 years later, those dams are not under construction. Our dam, which had been, the recommendation was to restructure it to, I think, a cost of about 15 billion shillings, has never started. The country went ahead to spend some money. JB Muturi says about 38 billion shillings I'm not sure about the figure, but he says we lost billions of shillings because of the money we had deposited and the cost of course, the cancellation. If these dams have not taken off 2 years later, honestly.
7 billion.
Sorry?
Only 7.
Yes,
only 7 billion.
Only 7 billion.
Only, yeah.
And this was also a very hot issue during the presidential debates, or the presidential debate that happened. And the president was again talking about that it was politics for the cancellation. Since now the question of politics was sorted, where are these dams? Where's the construction? And what exactly transpired in this particular deal? Because, yes, everyone else is free, but the dams are not here. Substantive questions that only people in cabinet would know. When they give us that information, we should listen.
And as Gituku is asking questions about whether dams ziko ama haziko, you have a question too, Bonyo, as we finish up?
Exactly, because just like Sam says that the monies have been paid, but we still don't have a dam. You remember that hot topic just before the elections and after the elections about audit on state capture. In fact, I remember Justin Muturi in some time early January of 2023 talking about a proposed judicial commission to inquire on state capture. The stuff they say now makes for that inquiry. And I hope somewhere he will actively push for that, because the issues he mentions, the issues former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua mentions, clearly tells you that there are elements of state capture, that there is a cabal of personalities that are out to milk Kenya of its very, very meager resources. So that inquiry on state capture, this must be the time that we do it, we audit, and we get to know who is this that has captured Kenya.
On that note of state capture and cabal of personalities.
No, but there was a reason that was given.
Which one?
In an interview, I think it was in January 2023, the president said that he has come in, looked at the situation the country was in, economically and otherwise, and deeply thought, should he be engaging into that or focusing on fixing the economy and the challenges that the country was facing? He was even asked about the drama at the Bomas of Kenya, and he said, one day when the story is told about what Wafula Chebukati went through, you will understand why I'm hesitating to constitute the commission to investigate state capture. That was January 2023. We're in April 2025. We have fixed the economy, by the way, I think. We've been told that we're now on a good trajectory. We're accessing financial markets. Maybe it's a good time to establish the commission.
Exactly. Things have stabilized. The economy is booming.
Yeah, but the question is, as you ask, mimi si feel, mtu anaweza kwambia mimi si feel, economy na boom tu, wapi, kwa karatasi. As we finish up, there's a statement that's been released just now by the National Police Service. It's securing the 2025 Kenya Schools and Colleges National Drama and Film Festival in Nakuru. They're saying on Thursday, 10th of April, we received credible intelligence that some individuals were planning to disrupt the event, that is the drama festivals. And as a responsible security organ, we put in place elaborate contingency plans to thwart such attacks. Nevertheless, there have been allegations of misconduct by police officers deployed to provide security at the venue. The IG has instructed the Internal Affairs Unit to immediately investigate the matter. and present a report within 21 days. Further, the matter is under investigation by IPOA. So tomorrow in 21 days, there should be a report. Wow. It's also, they need to also include in this report, answer the question about why journalists were attacked last night, including our very own Miriam Nyambura, where she was on air giving a report on what was going on, and she was injured, her and other journalists from fellow media houses. I think kufika hapo tumemaliza discussions. Linus, we'll start with your final word today.